Good morning, it's Thursday, October 9, 2014. I'm Steve Miller, and this is the Asia Brief. The number of protesters in Hong Kong continued to thin as organizers agreed to meet with government officials and students returned to campuses for exams. As we saw last weekend, the rallying call for universal suffrage brought out tens of thousands in opposition to Beijing's plan. But now that preliminary talks to remedy the situation have materialized, many Hong Kongers are opting to support the movement while returning to their normal lives. Formal discussions on the future of Hong Kong are slated to begin 4 p.m. on Friday. Rita Fan, delegate to China's rubber stamp parliament, said, quote, "I don't see why the National People's Congress Standing Committee would change its decision. It was a nationwide decision, and the decision has to face the country's 1.3 billion people." End quote. A clear reference to the fear that Beijing has that democracy may spread to the mainland and erode its power. Joshua Wong, the founder of the Hong Kong student activist group Scholarism, said, quote, "I do not agree with it, because I believe that we have not achieved good results. In fact, for political reform, what we want is to have a true universal suffrage, civil nominations, and Chief Executive Leung to resign." End quote. While many are still fighting the good fight, Leung has reiterated that he will not resign, and many students are coming to the realization that while their voices have been heard, Beijing simply won't bow down to their demands. A new Super Typhoon is set to hit Japan this weekend. Named Vongfong, it's currently in the Pacific and currently similar in strength to Typhoon Haiyan. It was a deadly force of nature that left 8,000 dead in the Philippines, with winds measuring up to 300 kilometers per hour. China's Yunnan province was rocked by a strong 6.0 magnitude earthquake late Tuesday. Reports indicate that at least one person has perished and more than 300 have been injured. In fact, China's Xinhua news agency says that some 56,000 people have been displaced from their homes. Quote, "The whole building was shaking terribly with a loud cracking sound. Plates fell off in the kitchen. We all ran out, and the streets are now packed with people," said Lin Akin, a woman living in the area. And finally, the United States and Japanese officials have laid out guidelines for expanding military coordination between the two nations, responding to the, quote, "the modern threat environment." While the report doesn't mention any specific threats, the intention is clear. Monitor and plan for any possible altercations with China as it continues to assert itself in the East China Sea. The report also includes the addition of cyber attacks and threats to Japanese interests on a global scale. Just after midnight tonight, the Asia News Weekly Podcast brings you a regional news digest and analysis. Thank you for joining me today. The Asia Brief returns on Monday. Be sure to follow the Asia News Weekly Twitter and Facebook feeds for more news throughout the day. The Asia Brief is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License.